A top North Korean official meeting with Secretary of State Mike Pompeo in New York, signaling that the summit's still on the table. Reaction now from Fox News foreign policy analyst Kiron Skinner. She's also the along with the Washington Examiner's Tom Rogan. Kiron, let me start with you. You felt when I read President Trump's letter, and of course how he ended that letter with sort of an open invitation, I always felt that this summit would still be on, even perhaps that the original date would still be possible. Is that still the case?
It appears to be, and I agree with you, Charles. The letter was artfully written to leave the door open for equitable talks, and it appears that we're on that pathway. And what I mean by that is the fact that denuclearization of the Korean Peninsula for Washington is the key issue in the negotiations that should happen. And the president has made it clear that any attempt by the North Koreans, the Chinese, or anyone else to depart from that specific objective in the meeting, figuring out how to denuclearize, will make it so that the president either goes to the summit and gets a deal or walks away in the middle of it. I think the letter and pulling back initially from the negotiations or from the summit really made that clear to the North Koreans, and they hustled to get back in the game.
Tom, there's no doubt about that. And of course, we had that surprise visit again to the DMZ, this time on the North Korean side. Seeing a bro hug between the two leaders on the Korean Peninsula, I think, was a pretty positive thing. And then, of course, we got the right-hand man to Kim Jong-un negotiating right now with Mike Pompeo. Is it possible we could be getting now too enthusiastic about something that was everyone's universally skeptical about just a month ago?
Well, I think it's a good thing inherently that we're going to have this summit. I mean, that gets the cards on the table. It allows President Trump to test Kim Jong-un at his word. But as you say, Charles, there is the concern that the devil is in the details with summits like this. And I think the measure of success will be after June 12th, whether in 1 or 2 weeks. And I think it has to be that shorter period. IAEA inspectors, which is the International Atomic Energy Agency, get in there and are able to start doing some snap inspections at a limited level, just to test Kim Jong-un to see whether he is being serious. Because if he's not, he won't allow that, and then we go back to maximum pressure, I think.
Kiron, we know denuclearization is our ultimate goal, and we know what the definition of it means, and I'm pretty sure North Korea does at this point as well. What I'm not getting from a lot of experts is what exactly does North Korea get out of this? In other words, they've got security because the nukes give them a certain degree of security, and now the ability to fire them all over the world even enhances that. What kind of monetary policy goes along with the additional safety that's being promised to him, and how can we guarantee that?
Charles, that's a really central question for the North Korean side. What can they get out of denuclearizing the Korean Peninsula when, in fact, it has worked so well for them as an isolated rogue nation in the international system? It's kept them front and center for a very long time. I think what they get out of it is the 2013 objective that Kim put forth, Kim Jong-un, and that was to bring North Korea into a modern economy. That cannot be done without the pathway that the United States provides. And the United States has been the lead nation in the world in pushing the United Nations to enforce sanctions and put some very heavy sanctions, as you know, last fall, against the North Koreans. To lift those sanctions, the North Koreans have to make major concessions on the nuclear program and their ballistic missile activity as well. Right. They can't join the community of free states, of nations of the world, and be part of the global economy in the absence of a very different military paradigm.
Well, Tom, President Trump has articulated over and over again that, that the country would be safer, wealthier, and that the people would do extraordinarily well also.
Yeah, I mean, he has, but I also think the North Koreans, what this will look like if there is a deal, is more of an opening in the style of Mikhail Gorbachev.